Welcome to day 43 of Learning Piano with Yousician.
As I've done the last few times, I'm going to be starting with Clementi's Arietta. Not a bad start. That was my best attempt at this song yet.
I started out almost every practice with this song since I'm getting pretty good at it, and I find that the best attempt that I have is usually my first attempt, and then as I practice, I get more flustered and frustrated, so it's always best to start out these videos at the beginning of my practice.
Okay, next let's take a look at Bach's Minuet in G. I started on this one last week, either day 36 or 37 of practice, and I've continued to work on it over the past week, so it's also getting pretty decent.
A little bit of a flub up in the middle there, and I have this big problem, probably common, but when I mess up one or two notes, it takes a couple of measures before I can get back into it. Also, I will say that I find that the more complicated the song, sometimes the musician will miss catching a note that I played, and it gets really frustrating sometimes when you want to get it perfect and you want to get all the stars, that it repeatedly will miss some of the notes. But for the most part, it catches them really well. Sometimes it catches them when you don't actually play them. That's sort of nice because then you get more points that way.
Okay, so the last song I'm working on is Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. And I apologize in advance because this one will probably be a little bit more painful to listen to because the coordination, especially using the left hand to try to do the I forget what it's called. It's not called offset chords, but playing the chords one note at a time as opposed to all at once. Trying to do that with my left hand is a little bit more complicated for me than my right. I think that's pretty normal. So I have been trying to slow it down and do a little at a time and just practice it.
But for this time, I'm going to just try and go ahead and play it through. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it at 80% speed though. I'm not really up to 100 yet. So I actually did my left hand pretty well in that event, but I couldn't do the right hand at the same time. But it's coming along okay. I'm going to keep working on that one for next week. I have had a couple of questions in my videos. One of them was about whether or not the trial time that Yousician gives you is enough for practice. And for some people it might be, and for some it's not. I practice about an hour a day. When I first started practicing, I ran out pretty quickly. It only took me about 20 minutes maybe to get through the amount of allotted time.
Yousician's time isn't so much based on a clock as it is on the number of exercises that you do. So I think for every few exercises you complete in play mode as opposed to practice mode, it will then say, it'll give you a little ad, and it does those ads I think 4 times before you can't play anymore for that day. And when I say you can't play anymore, you can continue practicing. So that's another thing, is you can get feedback for the first however amount of time they give you. And once you run out of time for the day, it stops giving you feedback, but you can still practice. So I've found that what they provide is plenty. And now that I am getting to songs that are more complicated, it actually takes me, I practice in practice mode a whole bunch. And then I will play through it in play mode once, and then it will give me one of those ads. And then I try another song for quite a while, and then I try it in play mode once or twice, and then I get another ad. So by the time, sometimes it takes me a whole hour just to get through the allotted time that Yousician provides. And other times I get through it in 15 or 20 minutes. It just depends. Sometimes I like to practice the scales. So the app has exercises you can go into. In the learn section of the app, they have workouts. And so you can do scales, you can do chords, you can do all kinds of other types of practice. And if you're running through those and you're just playing them, sometimes that'll eat up the allotted time for the day a lot faster.
But for the most part, I think what they provide in the free version has worked for me. But if you want to practice more, if you want to get better faster, I definitely think buying it is a good option because it's only $10 a month. As you can see, I've been practicing for about a month and a half and I've gotten pretty decent. And potentially buying it may work out better for you if you like to get the feedback. And it may be better for you if you want to practice more than just 20 minutes to an hour a day. Just depends on what your schedule is and how quickly you're looking to learn. So hopefully that answers that question.
And I will see you back here next week with more songs and hopefully some more improvement. So please stay tuned.